bugs, errors, straight up mistakes in code that have unintended consequences for developers. Sometimes the player base loves them so much, glitches become immortalized in history. But going even past that, some of the best features in, say, fighting games were once glitches. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on GameRanq's 20 video game glitches that became legendary features. At number 20, it's Rainbow Edition from Street Fighter 2. Probably the weirdest example of unofficial features becoming totally official comes from the Rainbow Edition, a hacked ROM version of Street Fighter 2 released in 1992 without any involvement from Capcom. The Rainbow Edition was released by a Taiwan-based hacking group and actually includes a load of innovations that appear in future versions of Street Fighter 2 and the Street Fighter series in general. Now, it's wild that a hacked, altered version of the game caught so much global attention, and even James Goddard, one of the designers of Street Fighter 2 Turbo, acknowledged the hack's existence and even states that Turbo Hyper Fighting Edition of the game was pushed in development specifically to compete with the hacked cart. What's so different about Rainbow? First of all, it's called that because of the rainbow colored effect on the title screen. It's actually not called anything different, but we've got to distinguish the fake from the real deal somehow. And the hack makes so many wide-ranging changes like faster gameplay speed, faster special moves, weird alternate takes on attacks like Guile's Sonic Boom honing in on your opponent. Hilariously, Rainbow Edition was distributed the same way Street Fighter 2 was. The bootlegs made their way onto arcade machines across the country, and while some of the changes were totally wild, like shooting off 5 Hadoukens at once, the general speed and playstyle matched the bootleg. Developers have cited more future official features inspired by Rainbow Edition, like the gold characters in Guilty Gear, which are totally broken, totally unfair versions of the standard roster, or the way Marvel vs. Capcom 3 lets you choose teams of characters in over-the-top ways that feel overwhelmingly strong. But when your opponents can do the same thing, the odds shift super fast. Rainbow Edition is basically a glitch in hacked form. It's one of the most interesting examples of unofficial features becoming official. At number 19 is the weightless class in WWE SmackDown vs. Raw. Let's switch gears and talk about a very different kind of fighting game. WWE SmackDown vs. Raw. It exists in the liminal space between fighting games and sports games, but there's a goofy glitch that's so interesting it essentially became a feature in all future games, even if it was coincidental. In SmackDown vs. Raw, your characters wouldn't normally lift an opponent that's 2 weight classes heavier than they are. A cruiserweight can't lift a super heavyweight, also called a giant in these games, because they're just too heavy. You can't beat physics. Well, I mean, here you can. You can when you use moves designed around tables or ladders or whatnot. If you're on a ladder, weight doesn't matter. You can easily pick up big boys and slam them through a table. Even the smallest wrestler can destroy Andre the Giant with ease as long as he's standing on a ladder. And oddly enough, that bug eventually became the default for the modern games. Weight class really doesn't matter unless you're the very biggest on the roster, and even then everyone can still slam you. They'll just wobble a little as they do it. And to make it funnier, the new games let you change the weight class to whatever you want. Size and shape doesn't matter, so you can be the tiniest giant ever, which isn't a bug, it's an intended feature. It's a sign of how these games have simplified in subtle ways to let you live the fantasy of a wrestling superstar, as well as not care about reality. Because why would you do that in wrestling? Why does reality matter? That's not what wrestling is for. At number 18 is combos in Street Fighter 2. Yes, combos. The most legendary contributions to fighting games all come from one source, Street Fighter 2. It's not the first fighting game, but it's a game that codified so many conventions of the genre. We wouldn't have a huge list of normal basic features every fighting game has if Street Fighter 2 wasn't so popular and didn't have so many revisions. Before the internet let us download patches, console gamers had to buy new editions of games to get the balancing updates, and combos were right there at the start. The bug allowed players to cancel the animation of an attack, to seamlessly move into another attack, and hence the combo was born. Combos are a staple of literally every game in the genre at this point, with recent games like Tekken or modern Mortal Kombat games sticking easy combos into their games. Fighting games aren't the only genre to run wild with combos either. Action games run off combos like a lifeblood. Without combos, you wouldn't have something like Devil May Cry and all the score counters that spawned off from that. And while combos are usually attributed to Street Fighter 2, it wasn't the first game with combos, but it was the most popular. Street Fighter 2 and every subsequent edition are the original fighting games that everybody else gets compared to. At number 17 is broken custom characters from Soul Calibur 3. One of the most beloved, revered institutions of fighting games is discovering cheese. That is, an easy way to demolish AI opponents. Soul Calibur 3 rewarded us with totally unique fighting styles that could only be equipped to custom characters, and some of these fighting styles are so broken and busted, players could even defeat the toughest opponents with very basic tactics, throwing bombs, performing low sword attacks. This stuff can score a perfect victory against the final boss of the single-player campaign. It's totally absurd, and it's sadly one feature Soul Calibur has completely removed from all future games. It was way too fun, but they didn't fully remove broken characters from the games. In a way, they've allowed characters to mess with each other even more. In the recent games, the Create a Soul features are pretty common, and one way they've locked in broken designs is through custom clothing options. You can slap objects on your character like a big shape that essentially make them completely unreadable. You can resize objects to make complete inappropriate or weird characters that troll your opponents simply by existing. It's a feature the series never completely gave up on, and it all started in Soul Calibur 3. The feature itself might not exactly be a bug, but the way the player base interacts with it, we'll call it unintended and leave it at that. At number 16 is sword canceling from Halo 2. Don't grab your pitchforks just yet. It's not a fighting game by any definition, but it was the closest thing our kid selves had to a mastery of certain type of fighting. The sword canceling glitch was the most infamous of the series. Another term from it is sword flying. It's pretty easy to see why. To pull it off, you need an energy sword and a long-range weapon. For a single frame between swapping, your energy sword would have the same range as a gun, giving you extreme range and lunging your sword-wielding Spartan across the map for an instant kill. It belongs on this list because it was such a popular glitch. Players demanded its return when it was patched out of the re-released Master Chief Collection on modern hardware. The developers actually patched the glitch back into the game, which is such a weird collection of words. We had to put this on our list just to say they patched a glitch back into the game. It's super fun to exploit. It's just it's rare, just rare enough, and it doesn't matter too much, especially when you're playing with friends. Not every game needs to be a perfect balance or ranked competition. And number 15 is wave dashing from Super Smash Bros. Melee. You can't not do some melee. We got a couple of melee points for you. The first is wave dashing, of course. One of the most infamous advanced techniques in video games. Some people believe it's unintended, but let me explain it. Basically, it's a method to dash forward on the ground and exploit the physics system to gain some extra ground distance. It also allows players to perform any ground action while in the sliding state. It's an advanced technique that's required for high-level melee play, and it is an integral part of the meta, whether it's an intended feature or not. It's definitely not documented in the original game. It was known to Mashiro Sakurai. He removed the wave dashing feature from future games, and while wave dashing is technically present in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, it's basically useless for most situations. It's a whole lot less powerful, but wave dashing is such a big thing of the still strong melee community, we have to put it on this list. It's an essential part of the game. Any tournament player needs to know it, whether it's official or not. It might be rejected by the official developers, but it's part of the community's identity at this part, and it's always going to be a footnote somewhere whenever Melee or even just Smash Brothers is picked apart by more skilled players than us. And number 14 is playable Master Hand, also in Melee. Our man didn't like wave dashing, but there's one glitch he is absolutely a fan of. Probably, well, maybe, I don't know. He's got to be a fan of it, right? It's possible to play as the big bad boss Master Hand when using the name option to activate a weird bug. If you register a selected character a 0, you'll enter a multi-man mode with a fully playable Master Hand. It's an amazing glitch that went undetected for a full 7 years after the game's release, and it's still one of the most fun glitches we can imagine. Getting a chance to play as something as weird and powerful as Master Hand is a dream come true for a lot of the Smash Bros. Players, and it became an official edition in Ultimate, so that's why we assume he liked it. It's like playable Goro in Mortal Kombat, though. We wanted to smash and win easily sometimes, and Master Hand lives up to the hype. In the battle before the last in Ultimate, you get to take control of the infamous boss and just start slapping around armies of enemies. It's cathartic, even if it wasn't a normal addition to the roster. It's a single-player only event. You can't play as him anywhere else. Still, we've gone from unofficial bug to official playable character. Good enough to get on the list. At number 13 is slip resets in Rocket League. Kind of a weird hybrid of mixing cars and soccer, but one technique that's just as difficult as any of the other advanced techniques we've talked about so far is this fancy trick in which Rocket League drivers can use to reset the flip and jump timer mid-air by landing all 4 wheels on a ball. It's an incredible maneuver to see in action, one I'm not going to ever pull off. I'm not good at this game. It's a fun as hell game, but it's not one that I have the time to get good enough to actually compete compete with people who take it seriously. The precision necessary for this trick, too, is pretty hardcore. It's like launching a rocket at an asteroid and carefully making a landing, but like within a split second. You have to land on a soccer ball that's in the air with your car that is in the air. But it's such a popular technique, it might as well be an official addition to the game. Flip resets are not limited to just the ball either. Any surface technically counts when it comes to flip resets. It gives you an extra jump or a flip and allows you to stay mid-air and keep the ball moving. The way some players control the ball in Rocket League is more magical to us than a lot of infinite combos that we've talked about so far, so yeah. At number 12, the community hungrily ate up this exploit that allowed players to use the same ability multiple times before activating a cooldown. Normally, characters in LOL are stuck with long cooldowns between attacks, but advanced players managed to pull off animation cancels that allow these characters to deal damage multiple times before activating a cooldown. It's an incredibly effective technique, and the developers, Riot Games, took some previously not so great characters and boosted their profile by rebuilding them from the ground up. Characters like Riven get to keep the bug, no patches here, and the entire identity morphed to better fit the glitch playstyle. It's the kind of story we love to see here. At number 11 is swing manipulation in Chivalry. Chivalry's a sword fighting game. You got one enemy, you fight them to death in one-on-one duels. Of course, you'll need to play mind games to overcome your opponent, and using swing manipulation's an advanced technique literally everyone needs to learn if they want to win a fight. It's a method of exploiting positioning to land attacks faster or slower, called accels or delays, to sneak past opponents attempting to parry. It's done by watching the animations and working to get the sword closer or further away depending on how you're moving the camera. It sounds complicated, and even if it looks complicated, once you really understand what's going on, it's not even that complicated. It's not even a new technique. Anyone that's really into games like multiplayer Jedi Outcast or Jedi Academy will instantly understand that moving your camera and aligning the actual physical sword in your hands to land attacks at different speeds or distances is an essential mechanic. It's such an essential skill, it only became more popular in Chivalry 2. Players will still call dragging an exploit, which maybe it is, but it's also something that's part of the game. At number 10 is Space Invaders, one of the most infamous aspects of Space Invaders. It wasn't originally meant to be part of the game at all. The infamous difficulty of Space Invaders, where the tiny little ships move faster and faster until they ram into your tiny pixel shooter at the bottom of the screen. Actually, it's a glitch. You have to remember, Space Invaders was originally designed on really old hardware. Having a bunch of pixels move at the same time actually slowed down the game. The memory was overtaxed moving all the little aliens, so the more the ships were destroyed, the more memory became available. Clearing memory made the game run faster, and that's how Space Invaders became the infamously challenging game in arcades. All those ships moving at light speed, getting harder and harder to hit, it actually became a feature instead of a bug, and the developers decided to leave the difficulty spike in. Makes perfect sense. It's a great little way to make the game more difficult as you destroy little guys. There's fewer guys, but they're a lot harder to hit. It's weird how one little bug could make or break a game in such a way, and Space Invaders is a legendary game up there in the echelons of Tetris and Pac-Man as the grandfathers of modern gaming. It's a reminder that glitches don't have to be bad, and sometimes the worst glitches are actually an incredibly important part of the game.
Rate up. Rate up.
At number 9 is blasting into orbit with Skyrim. Part of the fun of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is that anything can happen at any time. You might walk into a haunted house or a city or get involved in a prison escape. At any time, your calm trek across the snowy mountains might get interrupted by a dragon. That's the joy of Skyrim, but there's one hilarious glitch that players just didn't see coming. After you get hit with a downward attack from one of those giant enemies, there's a chance your adventure is going to get launched into orbit. You'll fly so far in the sky, you can bounce right off the skybox. It's honestly hilarious. Deadly, certainly. It's a feature in the game because the developers at Bethesda and the community just liked it too much. Why does it happen? Well, the physics engine in Skyrim converts damage into force. Basically, the more damage that's applied, the more pushback you'll get. The giant hammer and the way it lands essentially bounces your happy Nord off the ground and ragdolls you into the sky. It even works on big monsters like dragons if you watch them fight. It's so popular, players in the community report that Bethesda briefly removed the feature in a patch, but promptly returned it because it was just so beloved. It's one choice I think we can all get behind. At number 8, bunny hopping and rocket jumping from Quake 1 and even Doom. One of the original good-bad bugs of FPS gaming. Bunny hopping was a weird quirk of Quake's movement physics. By continuing to hop over and over again, players would move faster and faster with each jump, making it harder for you to get hit. Took a lot of skill, so of course it became a feature of Quake 3. And while bunny hopping continues to thrive in different ways, in most games, bunny hopping just causes you to bounce around. You don't really speed up. The real big killer glitch was rocket jumping. Now, this is a bug that's not exactly a bug, kind of a quirk of the physics of the game. The rocket's explosion, it knocks your little Quake man's butt backwards, and if you aim directly at the ground while jumping, you get a big boost from the blast. It was a weird feature found all the way back in the original Doom. So of course the madmen at id made rocket jumping an official feature in Quake. It's such a popular trick that games like Unreal Tournament made it a critical gameplay feature. Rocket jumping, it's not exactly huge in the professional gamer scene anymore, but for a long time, bunny hopping and rocket jumping were industry standard features. If you ever play an insanely fast boomer shooter, you'll probably be able to pull off one of these tricks. Or both, maybe both. At number 7 is the heat-seeking briefcase in Hitman 2. One of the funniest glitches in the open-world assassination simulator, Hitman 2, is this briefcase that bonks enemies, no matter how far they run. In one memorable example, players can throw a briefcase at a target right after they hop onto a jet ski, and instead of bopping the bad guy immediately, they'll scoot away and the briefcase turns into a heat-seeking rocket, flying through the air indefinitely like a Looney Tunes gag.
This is a restricted area. Now show me your hands. See that? He's a pro.
One of the silliest bugs in a recent video game, and there's a reason why it happens, the briefcase isn't actually the glitch. Anything you throw is a heat seeker in Hitman. You could throw a knife and it'd have the same properties. It's because once you lock onto a target, the game doesn't expect the target to go running away immediately. There are very few instances where a thrown item is slower than the movement of your target, but the players found an example and the developers added a new briefcase to commemorate the glitch. The ICA exclusive briefcase Mark II even mentions the ability to very slowly chase down targets in the item description. We love to see it. At number 6, coptering in Warframe. Warframe is known for its speeds, very fast game, but players, they always wanted to go faster. Not just in Warframe, in everything. It doesn't matter what game. But anyway, by performing a spinning attack, your cyber ninja could glide faster through levels. Spamming the spin attacks has even become its own goofy meme. It's called coptering. By coptering around, you could slingshot your way through levels. The developers, they took notice. Instead of fixing the bug, they overhauled the entire movement system of the game, creating the Parkour 2.0 system and taking notes from the bug. First of all, stamina was removed entirely from the game. The bug made stamina pointless, so the devs removed it. Bullet jumping, aim gliding, and stuff like that, it's natural extensions of the coptering trick, which gives you more abilities. There are more ways to blast enemies while moving at impossible to follow speeds. A simple glitch turned a good game into a better game, even if the learning curve spiked dramatically with all these new movement options. All that matters is that we got a double jump out of the deal. At number 5 is the parry punch in Ultra Kill, one of the wildest boomer shooters in recent memory. Also has a glitch that's too good to fix. Your super cyborg killer can melee punch projectiles back at enemies if you time it right. which is a cool enough feature, but players discovered something more on top of that. After unlocking the shotgun real early in the game, there's a way to parry your own shotgun blasts. No, it's not the alt fire. It's done with the regular normal shotgun blast. By parrying almost the exact same time as you fire, you can bounce the bullets back at enemies in an insane display of skill. When you're playing a game that's as fast-paced and crazy fast as Ultra Kill, parrying your shotgun seems like a totally normal part of the game, and that's why it didn't get fixed. When you're playing a game that is this over the top, why remove a silly feature from an already crazy game? Running around and punching bullets you just fired out of the sky. Have fun, right? And number 4 is skiing in Star Siege Tribes, a glitch that literally defined the entire series going forward. A bug deep in the code of Star Siege Tribes allowed players to glide down slopes to gain increased speed. It was called skiing for obvious reasons, and the glitch became pretty popular as a way to move around the big maps faster. Every game that came after the original release made skiing into something you just do. Your big power armor suits can glide wherever you want, and the developers made the right call. Future games in the series like Tribes 2 and Tribes Vengeance made skiing absolutely integral to the design of the game.
Remember what I said about landing on smooth inclines and not bumping into things? You're gonna need to move fast now.
There's something just so fun about boosting up steep hills, then effortlessly gliding down the slopes to gain speed and blaze past enemies. Tribes wouldn't be the series it is today without skiing, and while Tribes isn't at the top of the video game FPS totem pole anymore, plenty of games have plenty of features borrowing from one of the most influential FPS games of all time. And number 3 is Onimusha's air juggling. At a glance, the survival horror action gameplay of Onimusha doesn't look a lot like Devil May Cry, but the slower paced predecessor was integral to the development of one of Capcom's best franchises. While testing Onimusha Warlords, legendary game designer Hideki Kamiya discovered enemies could be launched in the air and comboed for a really long time. While the feature didn't survive the design of Onimusha, it was a perfect fit for the over-the-top action of Devil May Cry. In that game, you don't just air juggle enemies with slash attacks. Your double pistols are enough to keep low-level enemies in the air pretty much indefinitely. It's a feature games like Bayonetta took with and ran, and later Devil May Cry games only added more ways to air juggle enemies. Keeping your combo going forever is how to get the best score in Devil May Cry and its derivatives, and we can thank a weird glitch in Onimusha for that. Onimusha walked so Devil May Cry could run. Moving on to number 2, it's the Power Pistol in Halo Combat Evolved. The simple handgun has never been stronger than in Halo Combat Evolved. The basically miniature sniper rifle has perfect bullet spread and the ability to down other Spartan super soldiers with 3 well-placed shots. The pistol's so good in Halo, it's almost a meme, and none of the future Magnums ever had that kind of punch. The series is full of dinky, wimpy little handguns, don't compare to the almighty power of the pistol in Halo CE, and it was never meant to be this way. According to development lore, a developer at Bungie named Jason Jones got into the code right before the full release of the game, and instead of fixing last-minute bugs, our boy changed the damage values of the Magnum to make it way more powerful. It's already laser precision accurate, able to snipe enemies from a mile away, if you've got the right skills. That one tweak turned a cool gun into a legendary one, and every remaster and re-release of Halo 1 retains that change. For the better, we might say.
Look sharp! Covenant dropship on approach! I could use some help over here!
And finally, at number 1, Racing No More in Grand Theft Auto. Before Grand Theft Auto was called Grand Theft Auto, it was called Race and Chase. Naturally, it was a game about racing and chasing with police cars. Originally, it wasn't that fun either. It reportedly crashed a lot, and none of the edge the Future series was known for was there. The best part of the game was a glitch that made cop cars ram into your racer like crazy. It was fun, brutal, and it forced you to try to escape while enemy cars crunched you into a corner. And it just made sense for a crime game, so they changed directions and made it a crime game. Well, in fact, it was acquired by the Hauser brothers, which were the future owners of Rockstar Games, and we all know what happened after that. Grand Theft Auto hit big with GTA 3, taking these games out of 2 dimensions, giving you a city to cause havoc in, going nuts, blasting everything, ramming cars for no reason. It's all a staple in GTA at this point. The chaos is the point. The chaos came from a glitch, too. And that's 25 glitches that you found in various games before they became official. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter and book me on Cameo at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on GameRanks.